news out of Washington, D.C. The Commanders started mandatory minicamp, and Terry McLaurin was not there. Here's Dan Quinn with more.
The good news is lots of rapport has been built. And so those are all the times and, hours and hours upon doing that. Hey, sometimes football and business, they intersect. And this is one of those times. Terry is a fantastic teammate and really puts in the work, and spent a lot of time with him already this offseason. So Adam and their crew and Terry and his group, they'll let them work through that.
Needed to get Dan Quinn a higher chair or tilt the camera down there a little bit. But Adam, what's going on with Terry McLaurin though?
Well, Laura, we've seen a number of wide receivers be paid this offseason. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf amongst them. And Terry McLaurin is headed into the last year of his contract and is looking to be paid. He's scheduled to make almost $19 million this upcoming season. That is below market value for what top wide receivers in this league currently are making. And McLaurin doesn't want to wait till the end of that deal, not when he's performed the way he has, and Jaden Daniels has come to rely on him in the way he has. He's also a face of that organization and an example in the community. And the Commanders know they have to take care of McLaurin. They'd like to, but the two sides have not made much progress so far, resulting in McLaurin staying away from all offseason activities so far.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin is the type of guy that you want your son to model himself after. I mean, that's the type of player that we're talking about here. And Tim, on this show, we try not to overreact. Is this a big deal?
I do think it's a big deal, and I think a lot of it has to do with what Adam was just talking about, because when you just look at deals that have been done, Justin Jefferson's deal got done, and then you look at, Jamar Chase's deal got done, and the reality is, when we see CeeDee Lamb's numbers, they're going to be gigantic, and so the wide receiver numbers are huge, and Terry McLaurin's looking around saying, all right, well, I'm the number one guy here. And I think the cherry on top is a little bit what Adam also, referenced, which is, most receivers, they're come, with a little bit of drama or, diva to them, whatever it is. Terry McLaurin, has been, perfect, in terms of, how he's responded to, adversity that he's faced early on in his career, the type of teammate he is. You referenced it. So, that matters too. That's part of what's hurting Trey Hendrickson's feelings as well. And I think a similar thing with Terry McLaurin. So, yeah, I think all of those factors, kind of coming in, should at least raise your eyebrows to say, wait a second, we got one of the good guys that's unhappy.
Yeah. I think it's a great point you make about Hendrickson, and also why. Because these are not just football moves. These are culture moves. These are guys that are familiar, and they understand how to get other guys going and involved and ingratiate themselves. And you look at the offseason moves that the Washington Commanders make with bringing in Deebo Samuel. They got Laramie Tunsil as well. This is a team that was positioning to be in position again to win a NFC championship and try to get to a Super Bowl. I think this is a piece that they cannot do that without. I'm sure the Washington Commanders understand that as well. And I cannot imagine this new ownership still technically not getting this deal done with a guy that is a stalwart not only in your locker room, but in that community. And it would go a long ways with this fan base to show that these type of moves are going to be very simple and more about that fan base understanding that we are positioning ourselves to be relevant as we go further into the future. That's why I think it's important what Tim and Adam said about McLaurin beyond the football field.
Go, Adam.
And I think also, Laura, don't forget, they traded for and paid Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
They traded for Laramie Tunsil, and they plan to pay him. It's hard to pay all these people and not pay the guy that has been there the longest, that has suffered through the hard times, that has meant so much to that franchise. Again, I think both sides want to get it done. They just haven't been able to get it done just yet.
Cowboys also started minicamp today. A healthy Dak Prescott on the field. New receiver George Pickens and Micah Parsons in attendance. Here's Brian Schottenheimer on the edge rusher's importance.
You want your best players excited about what you're doing. You want your best players buying in because they're your best players? No, because they're the ones that the young players look up to. It's a long season. We all know that, and my conversations with Micah have been great, and really all the guys, but he's doing the things he's supposed to do in terms of he's training, he's prepping, he's been in, he's been out. And nobody's more excited than Micah about what we're building here, and he's excited to be back in the building doing it.
Yeah, so as Micah said, he would be there, and he's there. Adam, is there any progress, though, on this deal?
Well, he's there today, and he said he's going to be there for training camp, and I think that gives both sides the idea that they can continue talking in good faith and trying to get something worked out. Now, they've been talking throughout the offseason, and you heard Jerry Jones at the league meeting in late March, early April, talk about the fact that he and Micah were hoping to do the deal. He didn't even know who the agent was. Well, the agent is a prominent agent, David Mulgeta, who also happens to represent George Pickens in the last year of his deal. So I would imagine at some point in time, the Cowboys and Jerry Jones will be speaking quite a bit to David Mulgeta to get this deal done. I think everybody believes that at some point this offseason, Micah Parsons is going to become the new highest paid defensive player in NFL history.
Yeah, Jerry's going to know who David Mulgeta is. I think he already does, but I love it. I forgot about that, so I'm glad you referenced it. Marcus, that's the defensive side with Micah Parsons. But one thing I just said, and it's pretty cool actually to see the video of a healthy Dak Prescott back on the field. How much better do you think this offense will be?
I think they'll be tremendously better. Obviously, they implement a new system in the way that they're going to do things, but I've been crying, Boogie, and you've been a part of it because we've been on every damn show together about filling in this talent, especially at the number 2 wide receiver position. And now you have the potential to have something like a Jamar Chase and a T. Higgins in Cincinnati. This is all, let's make no mistake about it, this is all predicated on the fact that hopefully George Pickens is continuing to mature. He understands that he has a number 1 wide receiver that got a $136 million contract, so those opportunities may not be as much as he wants, but he can get a large amount of production and have the season that he wants and position himself to make money, which is now why I put it on Dak Prescott. What do we hear every year about Dak Prescott? Great leader, understands how to lead a team, gets everybody involved. He's a guy that these people want to follow. He's the face of the franchise. Well, you up, Dak Prescott. Not only in your leadership, but now you have guys on both sides of the field at the wide receiver position that can make plays. So there will be no excuses as long as your offensive line protects you.
Hard to find 2 more talented receivers than those 2, and so you're right, it is on Dak. And look, I think the offense is going to be very similar to what we saw under Mike McCarthy. I mean, the reality is he, was a Marty Schottenheimer disciple. Yeah. Part of the reasons the relationship was so strong with Brian Schottenheimer. And so I think the offense could actually, in terms of scheme and just general principles, it's going to look very similar. Like they believe in the same thing. And so then it really comes down to, all right, can Dak Prescott handle the volume of it? Because there will be a lot. And I think, truthfully, he can. It's just a matter of will he stay healthy enough to do it.
I love it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow on NFL Live. Hope you have a great rest of your evening.